abducted, raped and converted. 2 lakh people massacred. They imposed tax for not being Muslim. The Hindus in Bangladesh have lived in terror. That's a crime committed against the nation. How can you say that I cannot have legal recourse? Temples which were constructed 1500 years ago when there was no idea of Islam, they say that belongs to them. Any law which takes away my right to seek justice in this country, that law is not a law, it's a crime.
Let me also ask you, Sadhguruji, about the geopolitical situation. We are seeing wars between Ukraine, Russia. We are seeing the situation in Bangladesh.
Bangladesh is not war, that's a different situation.
It's a coup, but look at how Hindus have been at the receiving end in Bangladesh. We're seeing even the entire narrative, the discourse getting coarser and coarser. How do you see this going forward?
Discourse getting coarser, definitely happening. Coarseness has become the in thing. Refinement is out, coarseness is in. So it becomes a much more responsibility for all the sensible people in a country or in the world to refine the discourse as much as possible. As much as possible, because there are events which can't be refined. Refinement does not mean hiding behind something. Refinement means, I say it in your face, but I say it without abusing you, without being violent with you. I still say what I want to say. So for everything somebody says, we'll burn the country. What is that? See, Bangladesh is not today's problem. Even before independence, in 1946, what happened there was super terrible, all right? Documented, in those days documentation was not good. Documented over 20,000 rapes. Abducted, raped and converted, 20,000. Over 60,000 escaped across to Assam, Bengal and other things. Then came 72. From 47 to 72, terrible things have happened on a daily basis. They imposed tax for not being Muslim, but they were a democracy, supposed to be at least. And we did nothing about it. We thought it's not our business, anyway it's their business. But then their business didn't work, it cracked up. That 71, 72, documented rapes are 1,20,000. 200,000, that is 2 lakh people massacred, killed. And 6 million people crossed over to India. So this is how 22% became 8% today. And continuously some of the university professors' studies are showing that daily 630 Hindus cross over. This means in a year about nearly 250,000 people cross over, every year. So this has been happening. Before 47, what happened, not in your control. Whatever happened, happened. We can't fix all that. Even between 47 and 72, let's say, it was not in our control, but it was actually. In 72, total breakdown happened, we interfered, we got this thing going. But we always kind of end up delivering half babies. The fact of the matter was, historically when you look at it, let's say 100 years later, if you look at what happened, India was partitioned into 3 pieces, not 2, 3. Among these 3 pieces, the partition didn't work, it collapsed. When it collapsed, we should have gone back to the way we were. They want autonomy, they want this, that, something we should have worked out. But instead of that, we liberated and left that country as if everything is going to be okay. And we thought our great Mujibur Rahman will always be worshipped like we worship our father of the nation. But that's not the truth. What happened? He was assassinated and his daughter would have been lynched if she was just few minutes late. Yes? She just escaped. Otherwise, she would be lynched publicly. If just 20 minutes late if she was, it would have been over. Yes. And I would also say from 72 to 24, media also has done a tremendous disservice to us because they never brought… See, right now, all this is happening in Bangladesh. Through this period, I was in United States. Not a word in any of the Western media, not a word. You understand? The only person who spoke was the president-elect now. Otherwise, not a word in any of the main news channels, this is happening in Bangladesh. Similarly, between 72 and 24, what happened continuously, our media also did not report. Only now when it goes to extreme and there's a change of governance, then we're reporting. Otherwise, I'm saying, even I'm ignorant what all happened. Now I'm looking back and seeing all this happened in our own time and there is nothing. They've lived in terror for the last 70 years. The Hindus in Bangladesh have lived in terror. Western Pakistan has been better than what happened in Bangladesh for the last 70 years. So we just allow these things to happen and we think things will fix themselves. The things don't fix themselves. You learn to live with the problem, that's all. But those who are there, they live in terror on a daily basis. From August 5th to August 20th, 2010 events have happened of violence, of temple burning, homes burning, rapes, killings, all this. How do we just sit here and just allow it to happen right under our noses? And a country that you liberated, they should have been grateful for what we did. They're changing the history. Just like that, they're rewriting the history right in our faces. No, I think this needs a more strategic approach. This is not a thing to be handled with some… what to say, you can't
diplomacy.
See, diplomacy is always needed, you don't want to go to war with somebody, but action is needed in some way. I'm not saying action means military action alone. Action is needed. One way or the other, this problem has to be fixed.
Let me ask you, there has been a lot of Sanatan slander in recent times. Sanatan has been called all kinds of diseases. There is a slugfest that is currently going on, that this country, every masjid is being dug up to look for temples. The issue of Sambhal is in the eye of the storm. Do you think this truth should be buried and remain buried forever?
Well, I don't believe in burying any truth. Truth, it doesn't matter how inconvenient it is for you or me, it must be exposed. Because if you're not willing to look at truth the way it is, you can't build your future in any reasonable way. You will be an accidental life, you will be an accidental nation. That's not what we want for Bharat. We want Bharat to stand on proper foundations. If it has to stand on proper foundations, we should not be afraid of any kind of truth. After seeing what is true, if we are willing to negotiate, if we are willing to pardon each other, if you are willing to exchange things, it's fine with me. But you should not avoid any truth. And Sambhal is not necessarily of that origin, that is there, that's one aspect. But everybody knows in 1972, 71, 72 what happened there. And a few hundred people have been killed. And it is well recorded in the political history, in the media, it is well recorded. We want to just bury that and say it didn't happen, this is not good. See, this is very important. It's like this, something happens, it doesn't… don't think in terms of just Hindu, Muslim, whatever. Let's say this group and this group fights, two people die here, or their mother dies, their wife dies, their children die, something happened. Now, once it's out of the news cycle, you reported, you interviewed me, I also said something, it's over. For us, we have moved on to something else. But the guy who lost his child, in his life it's not going to go. You must understand that. Unless these people who, perpetrated these things show some remorse at least, you can't bring back life, at least some remorse, some sense of, compensation. Compensation need not be financial. Something as two human beings, I'm sorry I did this…
Closure.
Closure. If you don't do that, then this wound will fester forever. So it's time, because right now India is wanting to rise, in the Committee of Nations we're wanting to rise as a key player in the world, if this has to happen, we should not bury anything. Truth must be looked at. What to do with the truth? Is it worth acting upon or it is too far gone? What to do, we can decide later, but don't try to avoid truth.
What about the Places of Worship Act that is brought up every
I think that is not an act, that's a crime committed against the nation.
You believe it's a crime?
It is a crime, not that I believe it's a crime. When you tell me that I cannot go and find legal recourse for some problem that I have, then where is my democracy? Where is my rights as a citizen? When you say I can't have legal recourse, I may fail in the court, that's a different matter. But I can't go to the court. This is not a law, this is not an act, this is a crime against Indian democracy.
And those who talk about the constitution as the guiding principle and are
See, every day what's happening in the local politics, I don't want to comment about all that. They just want to win election, so they're doing whatever they can, all right? So I don't want to comment about it, they have every right to do whatever they want, say whatever they want. It's for the people to be judicious and decide who will do better for the country.
So when I ask you about the Places of Worship Act, do you think it's an act that should be actually completely removed rather than being amended?
See, you make a law which is against the fundamental rights of the citizens of this nation, and then you want to redecorate it? No, it must go.
Lock, stock and barrel.
Yes, not lock, stock and barrel, just the whole damn thing, there's no lock or stock in it. There's no stock in it. How can you say that I cannot have legal recourse? You can say you can't start war on the street, I'll agree with you. You can say you can't forcibly go and take it, I will agree with you. Even though I know underneath there is a foundation of a temple, I can't go and take it, I understand. But I can't have legal recourse. What kind of law is that?
What would you say to the statements that come up that the Kumbh Mela is being held at a land owned by the Waqf? The parliament is built on the land owned by the Waqf. Every other day, in your own state of Tamil Nadu, there are 1500-year-old temples and villages that have been taken over because they are built on the Waqf. How do you respond to that?
We are world's 17.6% population and we have world's 4% land. So there is competition for land, all right? This competition, we must between you and me, you want that real estate, I also want that real estate. We must fight it out commercially or legally. You can't make acts in the parliament in my favor or your favor, and I can take your land and you can take my land, then what is left? Only thing that left is a fight. Don't do that.
So what do you think about the Waqf law?
So, one must understand, Kumbh Mela has been on for many millennia, nobody knows how long. It could be 8,000–10,000 years. I'm saying well before you imagined Islam, it was here. So definitely it can't be Waqf. And whatever these laws are, see, once you make discriminatory laws, you will set up a stage for civil war kind of situation. I'm saying a very strong word. Initially it'll be riots, protests, violence. Ultimately it's civil war, isn't it? Don't take the nation there. We have seen enough violence. In the last 1,000 years, how many massacres, how many wars, how many millions of rapes, organized rapes, all right? It's not just one man doing something, not a crime, organized stuff. Don't again go there. So, don't again go there means, oh, don't raise any old issue. That's not the point. We have the maturity that we can look at what is the truth, then we negotiate. If our negotiation doesn't work, we'll go to the court as per the realities of the thing, as according to the laws of the constitution, where you and me have equal rights and equal level of participating in the legal process. Whoever gets it, gets it.
But whoever gets it, gets it. The Ram Mandir was built. There is a whole political class that thinks that some wrong has been done. They haven't even visited there.
See, I have not visited thousands and thousands of temples in this country. Important temples I have not been to because I am not that kind. constantly going to temples, I'm not that kind. So if they don't go, I don't think we should blame them for that. Why?
But don't you think it's a point that they are making?
Maybe for their political constituency it's important. So let them do it. What's the issue? I don't think there's an issue.
What do you think about the Waqf law in the manner in which it is there?
So I was in my early 20s and I was making many transactions, I'm in business. One of my properties, I found somebody else sold it. I have all the documents, I have the ownership, but somebody sold it to somebody else. And then I go to the sub-registrar's office, I go to Tahsildar and ask, my property, I have everything in my hands and the property is also in my control and they've sold it, how is this? And that guy tells me, if you're willing to pay the revenue, the stamp duty, if you want, I will register the palace, Mysore Palace in your name. Because I'm only interested in the revenue.
Because they have a target.
Yep, whatever target, be it his personal target or whatever, I don't know. Now, if you pay the revenue thing, he will register the Mysore Palace. So like this, somebody can register parliament in your name. Whether you can take possession of it or not is another thing, but you can wait for 100 years and your grandchildren who are coming, they can dispute it after 100 years, say the parliament belongs to me. This is a very dangerous process.
Are you saying Waqf is a bill that allows that?
Yes, isn't it? This has been happening for millennia and they say this is my site. Temples which were constructed 1500 years ago when there was no idea of Islam, they say that belongs to them. How? So I can just claim and I have some paper done and you can't go to the court again, you can only go to them. So this fundamentally, any law which takes away my right to seek justice in this country, that law is not a law, it's a crime.
Today even…
See, here in UP, the gangster law that Yogi ji made, they have recovered, you know what? 141 billion rupees worth of property, movable and immovable property. 140 billion rupees from the gangsters. How did they take it? This has been happening. I'm telling you, this has been happening in UP, Bihar, sometimes in South also it happened a time ago, now it's controlled. That is, they will come walk into your house late night, 10 o'clock, you're sitting after your dinner happily with your family, they walk in with the sub-registrar and your house is sold, they say. For how much? Their own price, whatever they like. And you say, no, my house is not for sale. There's nothing like that, you sell. Otherwise, there are 5-10 goons, they'll slap you in the face. If you don't listen, they'll go stand next to your wife or your daughter. You sign. So they'll give you 3 days, 1 week to vacate your house. This is how properties have been taken. 140 billion rupees worth of properties confiscated in the last 7 years. What do you think was happening?
Are you saying Waqf has also land grabbed under the same…
See, I don't want to call this that, I don't know the entire detail of that. All I'm saying is, if you're sitting on the chair, if I feel that is my chair, I can't just throw you in the river and take it. That's against the law. But if I can't claim in the court that this is my chair, I can prove it. If I don't have that right, that's a crime.
True, today there…
That's a crime against an individual citizen, that's a crime against democracy.